This is how to read Jin Ping Mei. Chapter 51. Embroidered portrait book. Beating cats with golden lotuses to buy jade. Fighting leaves to give gifts and losing gold word book. Yu Nang listens to the performance of Jin Gong. Sister Gui hides in Simon house. This chapter is a rare mess in the text of Jin Ping Mei. It only took 2 days from beginning to end, but it involved more than a dozen characters and 7 or 8 major events. Readers can't help but ask, isn't it said that chapters 49 and 50 are the core of the parabolic structure? What is chapter 51 doing? Looking at the 4 unrelated things in the 2 versions of the title, it is really a bit ridiculous. What is the author's hidden meaning? I think this chapter, like the previous 2, is a very important chapter in the book. Although there is no character to focus on, there are many things written, and the organization seems messy, but the author's weaving has a certain logic. On the one hand, he made the various unfinished events that happened in the previous chapters into notes, and on the other hand, he introduced new events. It lays a profound foreshadowing for the 50 chapters that follow. It can be said that this chapter is an important link between the previous and the following stories in the whole book. The content of this chapter is divided into 8 parts, which are analyzed section by section below. The first paragraph. Pan Jinlian slandered Li Pinger. The last time Simon King took the obscene device bag with him when he was testing medicine, Pan Jinlian mistakenly thought that he was looking for Li Pinger. So she started a fight and slandered Li Pinger to Wu Yunyang. Li Pinger didn't talk about my sister behind my back. She said that my sister would be such a godly mother-in-law. Kia was sitting in the office, and she had to take care of other people's birthdays. You came into my room drunk, and I was not in front of you. You said nothing to me. He looked at me and looked at me in disgrace. He walked to the front and pushed his father to the back. How could he come to my room even though he was behind? After talking all night, only my heart and 5 internal organs have not touched me. Recalling the facts, Simon King came back from Wang Liuer's house at night last time, and he wanted to share the happiness of Hu Sengyao with Li Pinger. However, this day happened to be Li Zhao's birthday. Remember what happened on Li Zhao's birthday? Last time what happened? Song Huilian hang himself. So Wu Yunyang said, do you think there is a channel scold Simon King? People here referring to Li Jr are waiting and won't come in. Li Pinger's reaction at that time was, I walked to the front in a panic and tried my best to encourage Simon King to come to the back. As a result, although Simon King went to have a birthday drink with Li Jr, he turned around and went back to Li Pinger's room, whereupon a menstrual sex scene occurred. Therefore, from a factual perspective, Pan Jinlian's slander is actually correct. However, these words are unbelievable, because Pan Jinlian is a bit eager to provoke discord. She is grafting her own position and emotions onto Li Pinger. Wu Yunyang is not stupid. She quickly found the key point of this passage. Kiao Po is in power. Kiao sits in the office. This is a satire on Wu Yunyang's official assignment and forcing Simon King to range where to sleep at night. Of course, Wu Yunyang hopes that she can really do this, but can she do it? These 6 words pierced her weakness like a sharp knife. I ranged it. I would like to arrange for him to be in my room every day. Can I? So she immediately issued a sharp counterattack. State the facts first. It doesn't hurt him to talk about it. Why do you say that I am a godly mother-in-law? And I am sitting in the government office. I still regard him as a good person. I don't know what kind of talk I am trying to say. In front of a man behind his back. Silly sister, even if the man stays in your house all day long, I don't want my heart to flutter if I leave a man to you and let you go. I'm just a widow. Wu Yunyang was defending herself, saying that she did not have the power of a devoted mother-in-law to sit in the government office, saying that she did not care whose room her husband entered, and then further opened the skylight. A man throws it at you. It is you, not she, you, obviously. Wu Yunyang has a clear mind and has a clear judgment on the layout of version 3.0 of the competition for favor. In her mind, whether it is the good Li Pinger or the falling out of favor Pan Jinlian, whether it includes the remarried Meng Yulu, is unknown. The essence is the same. They are born and will always be whores. Wu Yunyang's sense of superiority about being a virgin and adhering to women's ethics has never changed. Pan Jinlian's attempt to united front with her and use her to attack Li Pinger is really too whimsical. Next, Sister Simon. who was a bystander, betrayed Pan Jinlian's slander to Li Ping'er. The starting point of Sister Ximen is that she and Li Ping'er are friendly, and the reason for their friendship is that she often lacks sewing shoes and gets help from Li Ping'er. It is hard for us to imagine that as a wealthy daughter of the Ximen family, she would always be without sewing shoes. This unfortunate married daughter's status in the Ximen family has never been embarrassing, but now that she is so humble and pitiful, it is even more foreshadowing her final tragic ending. Li Ping'er explained her incompetence and difficulties to Sister Ximen, and Sister Ximen related to Wu Yunyang. What is Wu Yunyang's attitude? Are you letting go of Li Ping'er and holding grudge against Pan Jinlian? No. Her finger is still pointed at the previous sentence I guess there are some shortcomings in the two of them. And they can't coax the man. If they come behind me, they can't use me as a tongue pad. The translation of this sentence is, you to just fight. Don't think about using me as a gunman. Later in the story, Pan Jinlian and Li Ping'er fought until both sides lost, and Wu Yunyang quickly rised and used the fetus in her belly to clean up the mess. Perhaps this plot is a symbolic foreshadowing. Second paragraph. Sister Li Gui begs for mercy to avoid trouble. What happened to Sister Li Gui is this: the fallen Prince Wang Sangwan, who had been holding the pipa half hiding his face for the past few episodes, finally surfaced. The nephew-in-law of Liu Wang Taiwei ignored his beautiful daughter-in-law at home and went whoring with Sister Li Gui every day. As a result, his daughter-in-law sued Liu Wang Taiwei. The prostitution was so shocking that the Taiwei ordered an anti-pornography campaign in anger and named Sister Li Gui and other prostitutes involved in the incident. Even two accomplices, Sun Zizui and Chu Mazi, were arrested and brought to Tokyo for questioning. However, before Sister Li Gui came to plead for mercy, Earl Ying knew the news in advance and came to report to Ximen King. After the matter was finished, he did not ask Ximen King to take action. This was obviously not in line with his behavior. Why did he come? Judging from the fact that Sister Li Gui came to plead with Ximen King in person, I think Earl Ying has not confiscated any bribes from the Li family brothel, which means that he has no intention of interceding for Sister Li Gui at all. From Earl Ying's point of view, he was not sure whether Ximen King could deal with Liu Wang Taiwei's anger, so his purpose could only be to give a warning. Sister Li Gui is coming. You should think about it first whether you want to help her. More importantly, the best thing is to stand in line beforehand. Sun Anshu took Wang Sangwan to have sex with Sister Li Gui, but I didn't interfere at all. Sister Li Gui, who suffered a catastrophe, lost her former beauty and arrogance. The clouds of the servant girl are not neat, and the beauty is pale. She cried and begged Ximen King for mercy. It is different from the last time when Ximen King secretly picked up guests. Although Ximen King saw it with his own eyes and was extremely angry, it only affected business and did not affect personal safety, so the Earl could do it for him. This time, although Ximen King did not know the details and did not hear about it, don't ask. But you have to humble yourself when faced with disaster. It's just that this plea is really difficult for Sister Li Gui, and it's even more difficult for the author. The author deliberately asked Earl Ying to report the news first, so that readers can see clearly how thick-skinned Sister Li Gui can be. And it also made it more difficult for the author to help Sister Li Gui plead for mercy. Let's see how the talented author works. 1. First, deny that you are not familiar with Wang Sangwan. 2. If you continue to deny that you are forced to receive Mr. Wang, you are forced to do so by someone else. 3. Before I got involved with him, the arresting officers came. 4. Now the leaders in Tokyo want to arrest me. Please help me. It's very similar to the pattern of responding to the Earl's plea, right? From here we can learn two quibbling skills. The first is to have the courage to admit that all things seen are believed, but it is up to you to explain the cause and effect logic of the matter. The second is to float the value of the elements in the facts according to the object of intercession. A passerby can be said to have colluded with you. A high-ranking person, a senior acquaintance, can also be said to be a passerby whom you meet for the first time. From this we can see how wonderful Sister Li Gui's long quibbling plea for mercy is. Although Ximen King already knew all the facts, he reluctantly agreed. The third paragraph, come to bow to bid farewell and visit Korea. Sister Li Gui's case was supervised by the central government, and Ximen King, the boss of King Akoundi, was unable to do anything. In order to plead for mercy, he had to go to Tokyo to ask Jin. Therefore, Lai Bao had originally arranged to go to Yangzhou with Han Daoguo to collect salt, so he had to temporarily suspend it and divert it to Tokyo. The text intersperses a small incident here that seems light but actually serious. Before Lai Bao left, he made a special trip to the Han family to say goodbye. From a narrative perspective, this little incident not only proves that the two families had been in contact with each other for a long time and were familiar with each other, but the two men eventually betrayed Simon King and fled far away. On the other hand, it also tells the story of this incident completely. It is necessary to mention where Bao went to Yangzhou to find Han Daoguo after leaving Tokyo. When Bao asked Wang Liwer if he had anything to take to Sister Hanai, it can also awaken the reader's memory of Sister Hanai and add a few details to the novel. It also provides a sense of realism, and also hints at the final defeat of the Taishi mansion and the return of Han Daoguo's family to lynching. This is a trivial text between second-rate protagonists, but if you read it carefully, you can find the author's extraordinary good intentions and rare warm and true feelings, which are uncommon in the entire text. Facing Lai Bao's farewell, Wang Liwer, as the hostess, packed up her jewelry and shoes, arranged food and drinks, warmed up the wine, and said goodbye. These seemingly ordinary fragments of life allowed us to see the Simon King, the mundane side of a dedicated sex machine. At this time, she was just an ordinary housewife, an ordinary mother who missed her children far away. Every move, every word, and every word showed a natural expression. There is no doubt that this is the true nature of life. Rather than saying that this surprises us, it turns out that Wang Liwer can still be like this. It is better to say that this makes us regain those lost feelings. Well, Wang Liwer and them should all be like this. Compared with other magnificent narrative novels, and even compared with most of the texts in Jin Ping Mei that imply turmoil, this plot may be too uninteresting. However, this is what distinguishes Jin Ping Mei from other works. A subtle manifestation of a broad mind. Lai Bao, Han Daoguo, Wang Liwer, these adults in real life, these servants outside the Grand View Garden in a dream of red mansions are much despised and ridiculed, no matter how erratic, artificial, shameless, and lewd they are on other occasions. They are still through the eyes of the audience. By living these words from life, we will discover their simple origins. This may be another kind of compassion for them by the author. All absurd behaviors are just a strong way of making a living, but a seemingly ordinary life is a rare pursuit. By understanding this, we can understand the tenderness contained in their plain dialogue, and we can also understand the deep humanistic care behind the absurd Jin Ping Mei story. Section 4. Wu Yunyang listens to music in her bedroom. Sister Li Gui came to plead for mercy, but Simon King was still hesitant. So Wu Yunyang helped her out of righteousness. That's fine. If he doesn't want to say something sarcastic, just say it for him. That's all right. You send two of them to go first. Save the money. Go to Tokyo to discuss the deal for Sister Gui. Hand it over to him and then rush off. You can bluff him with his talk. We remember that when she stole gold last time, Wu Yunyang was very angry for Sister Li Gui. But this time she took the initiative to intercede for Sister Li Gui, without waiting for her to speak. What's the point of this? Is it because Wu Yunyang has changed the times and put aside her grudges with a smile? I think Wu Yunyang will never give up her contempt and hatred for Sister Li Gui easily. The key here lies in the two what things can be just. It was the jealousy in Wu Yunyang's heart. Sister Li Gui used her identity as a prostitute to keep Simon King from returning home for 2 months. And she also interfered in the internal affairs of Simon's family as an old lover. So, what about now? Something like this happened to Sister Li Gui. Simon King seemed to have been cuckolded again. No one else needed to comment. Simon King knew the unhappiness in his heart. At this time, Wu Yunyang did not insult to injury to Sister Li Gui, thereby embarrassing Simon King. This is often the case with impulsive fools. She fully grasped the opportunity to talk politics. Just like burning incense on a moonlit night, she repeated her old tricks and helped Sister Li Gui to please Simon King. Therefore, the two words whatever should be interpreted like this. Forget it. I won't care about robbing you of your husband anymore. If you lower your head, I will recognize you as my goddaughter. As a prostitute, Sister Li Gui is so well versed in the ways of the world. In the past, being a goddaughter who didn't sing was just a pretense. But now that a goddaughter is facing a big challenge, she must take the initiative to be attentive. Yu Yuxiao, hand over sister Yu's pipa and wait for me to sing a song to listen to my aunt and DAQZ. Wu Yunyang felt like a spring breeze in response to such a proactive surrender. Sister Gui, your heart is so hot, please stop singing. In this regard, Meng Yulu, who has always been gentle and elegant, could not help but sarcastically said, Sister Li Gui is still a doll in the courtyard. She is quick at making faces. When her head comes up, she frowns and cannot eat the burnt tea. This time she talks and laughs. On the surface, this is saying that Sister Li Gui is quick at making faces. But secretly, who knows that she is not despising Wu Yunyang for being quick at making faces? In the end, after Ximon King died, Sister Li Gui immediately turned against her husband and taught Li Jiar to steal the money and return it to the brothel. Wu Yunyang also turned against her immediately, and the concubines and maids in the family were moved around and sold until they became lonely. From this point of view, they're really a pair made in heaven, a good mother and daughter. Another small thing in this paragraph is that Uncle Wu came to borrow money. Uncle Wu, who was a minor official, had to pay for his own money to serve the country, which was not easy. After the completion of the following article, he was promoted, of course. He also had to rely on Ximon King to help him to express a few favors. This paragraph can be regarded as a foreshadowing of the story later in the article, that after the death of Ximon King, Uncle Wu lived as an official and took charge of the overall situation. The fifth paragraph, Pan Jinlian beats Mao Pinyu. Pan Jinlian was the third woman to taste Ximon King Hu's medicine. This is a very morbid sexual description that was almost completely deleted in the clean version. And of course, some of the hidden narrative information was also gone with it. If we compare this sexual description with the sexual intercourse between Pan Jinlian and Ximon King in the previous article, and the sexual intercourse between King Wen and Liu or Ximon King before and after, it can be said that from this time on, the sexual intercourse between the two has been completely lost. The ingredient of love, Pan Jinlian, who once elegantly peeled lotus seeds with delicate hands and licked peach kernels with fragrant lips, has now become a sex machine like Wang Liuer. From then on, Ximon King's demands on Pan Jinlian became even more severe, and Pan Jinlian did everything possible to win her favor, and her sexual behavior became more and more morbid, until Ximon King reached the point of no return. It can be said that this jade tasting is the watershed in the sexual story between the protagonists in the book, and the cat fighting during the jade tasting seems to have set the line again. And when Zhu's lion scared brother Guan to death. Paragraph 6. Ximon King's official meeting with guests. Ximon King spent the night in Pan Jinlian's room. The next day, I talked about two simple official banquets. First, Qifan and Huang came to visit Ximon King. The last time in Chen came to have a meal with Kai Zhuangyuan. This time he came uninvited because he was familiar with the road and had to pay his own respects. From then on, the distinguished guests of Ximon's family no longer needed Saijin to act as a guide, and officials from all walks of life had to eat and get cards. The teacher is self-taught, and there is an endless stream of people in the Ximon family and the city. The second is Ximon King's visit to Jia Tixing. The banquet itself is not interesting. The key is that he met Nishu Kai, who will recommend to Ximon King an important role in the second half of the book. When Shu Kai, it can be seen that these two simple descriptions of the banquet are also important clues. Section 7. Wu Yunyang listens to and performs Buddhist scriptures. Because Ximon King went out to drink, Wu Yunyang happily held a Buddhist sutra symposium at home. The scene is very grand. Da Jinsi, Miss Yang, Wu Yunyang, Li Jiar, Meng Yulu, Pan Jinlian, Li Ping'er, Sun Zui and Li Guiji, all sitting round him and Su, listening to his recitation. One is not the least reminds us of Ximon King's 10 brothers, who must be perfect every time they get together. Nowadays, no one mentions the 10 brothers. Even Sun and Zhu were tied up with a rope for helping Wang Sangwan, bound to Tokyo, and here Wu Yunyang is performing the Budor version of 10 sisters. Like Ximon King in the past, Wu Yunyang is also enjoying the supreme glory of being surrounded by stars. The protagonist of this day's symposium is An Zhu. So, why did Wu Yunyang want to listen to Mrs. Zhu's lecture? Apparently it was because of the fertility talisman that Anzu brought to Wu Yunyang. Although the talisman has not yet been used and is not yet effective, Wu Yunyang's faith is sincere and sincerity is effective. Listening to Anzu's lecture is precisely to express her sincerity. However, the author not only despised this sincerity, but also shattered it to pieces, because the day before listening to Buddhist scriptures, Simon King saw Anzu with his own eyes in Wu Yunyang's room, and even scolded her fiercely. "Fat, bald, whore, what are you doing here?" Simon King's name is very interesting. Fat and bald are the appearance, and thieves and prostitutes are the essence, because Simon King's Yemen once accepted the pimping case of Anzu, and this Ma Boliuan Kasich did something similar Wang Po's bad deeds. This case, which may have originated from the King Ping Shantang Hua Ben, is recorded in detail in Chapter 34 of the King Ping Shantang Hua Ben, in which we can see the author's obvious intention to portray the character, or in the eyes of the author of Jin Ping Mei and the rewriter of the embroidered version. These monks and nuns who used the light of Buddhism to do shady things were not only thieves, but also prostitutes. They were despicable in both behavior and moral character, even though they are proficient in many Buddhist scriptures and can preside over grand rituals. In essence, they are completely contrary to the true religious spirit. Although Jin Ping Mei uses religion to reflect on the story and life, the monks and nuns treat reality even more harshly than others, with vicious ridicule and bitter satire almost everywhere. Perhaps it is precisely because there is such a world and such monks and nuns that a better religion is needed. Just when Simon King went out for a banquet, and Wu Yunyang was listening to Buddhist scriptures at home, the family suddenly received a gift from someone sent by Song Shun. It was nothing major, but it was just to create an opportunity to portray Dan again. The last time we visited Butterfly Alley, Diane learned the bad side of Simon King. But this time, Diane showed the qualities that an excellent office director should have. First, he arranged the reception calmly, and then quickly moved on, report to the leader, and then handle the affairs vigorously and resolutely. These tasks that originally belonged to the book boy or Chen Jingji were handled by this illiterate Dai Ping An in just a few words. At this time, Chen Jingji and the book boy came here riding on mules. What does stacking mean? The famous pimp sister-in-law Wen in the following article replied, when Dan teased her with Diki, "I am not the one you insinuated." People on the street looked at it and it was weird. Innuendo means acquaintance. If it is, there is nothing much to say about the two people who are good friends, and the people on the street who are riding on top of each other on animals. Chen Jingji was going to collect some foreign debts from the Simon family. According to Diane, this job was his alone. Why did the book boy squeeze a mule to follow him? You must know that Shetong is the well-known male favorite of Simon King's family. If you think about it in the most malicious direction, either the two of them will do something shameful, or the two of them will end up together, as Sister Simon later guessed. Go to whoring or something like that. In short, judging from the results, the book boy who almost made a mistake was once again bullied to the point of spitting by Dan. Obviously, compared with Dan, the book boy was completely unbearable. The 8th paragraph, Chen Jingji lost gold by fighting with leaves. This paragraph is the real plot text, purely designed to connect the 52 chapters. Wu Yunyang held a Buddhist sutra symposium at her home, but the Garden Beauty gang showed no interest at all. Pan Jinlian first wanted to win over Meng Yulu, but Meng Yulu still gave Wu Yunyang face even if he didn't like it. Then Pan Jinlian pulled Li Pinger, and Li Pinger followed her to Sister Simon's room, because they heard that Sister Simon gave Chen Jingji 3 coins to go out and buy sweat towels. But the money was lost at home and the purchase was not successful. Pan and Li also joined in the fun and asked to buy on their behalf the next day. Purchasing on behalf of others requires money. So Li Pinger took out 1 or 2 9 cents of silver with him. He always carried a purse at home, which shows that he is used to giving alms. I treated him to a treat. Even your 5 wives are in it. I'll bring the rest with the eldest girl. We all know how extravagant it is to spend 1 or 2 9 cents of silver. It is definitely more than enough to buy a few sweat towels. But what about the rest? Pan Jinlian came up with an unpredictable idea. Take out the 3 pieces of silver, and you two will fight with each other and bet on the host. Master, I'll ask you Liu Niang to put some money out. Tomorrow, When your father is away, we can buy roasted duck and white wine for us to eat. Is this justified? The 3 coins originally belonged to Sister Simon. Because Li Pinger was happy, he gave away all the sweat towel money of the 3 women during the treat. The 3 coins should be returned to Sister Simon. If nothing else happened, it would still belong to Li Pinger. After all, Chen Jingji would definitely have a little extra money to buy sweat towels for 1 or 2 9 cents. So, what kind of fight is Pan Jinlian's couples fighting over leaves about? Whoever loses will use these 3 pieces of silver as a host, and the couple will bet against each other. Whoever loses is not the one whose family provided the money. What's more, what if 3 coins of silver are not enough for food and drink? Tell your Liu Niang to post some more, and ask Li Pinger to do it again. Li Pinger wanted to give Pan Jinlian some sweat towels to soothe the wounds of her slander at the beginning of this episode. But she didn't expect that Pan Jinlian didn't accept everything and even created and bit back. At this point, the 8 stories end. The morning before, Pan Jinlian complained that Simon King couldn't come to her room and went round in a big circle. The next night, Simon King went to her room half drunk with wine, and a long story full of flowers and colorful threads finally came to an end. Zhang Zhubo commented that this chapter is the key to the next 50 chapters. This is an honest statement.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.